And I think it is time to go ahead and get started. Hey, welcome to At The Track Live. My name is Coach James. I am the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics. What is All About Aerodynamics? Glad you asked, even if you didn't ask. All About Aerodynamics is a science program where I use Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about physics, about aerodynamics, about drag, about lift, about downforce, about kinetic energy, about potential energy, about elastic energy, about a whole range of science and physics related topics. After I have taught them all the science and we've conducted experiments to drive home all those concepts, then I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student selects a Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything they've learned during the program. Then, once they've selected their cars, they examine their cars, they document all the information they can about their cars, the weight, they take pictures, the year it was manufactured, whether it's a metal body on a plastic base or a plastic body on a metal base. They get all of that information, enter that into a spreadsheet, and then we set up a track, and on that track we have a tournament, and the students race the cars. And based on the outcome of that race, they observe how their cars performed. Did their cars perform up to or below their expectations? And if they had the opportunity, would they select that car again based on what they observed? We go through the scientific method, and the students end up learning a lot about physics, a lot about science, and they have fun with Hot Wheels cars, so what could be better? I don't know. But if you would like to learn more information about our science program and how to bring it to your school or your organization or your special event, all you have to do is go to our website, aaerodynamics.com, or you can just follow us on Instagram, and all the links and information you need are in the bio, and you can also reach out to me if you have any specific questions, and I will be happy to answer those. It's a great program, and you should look into it. We're about to begin offering an online version of the program to a broader audience very soon. I just have to tweak some things with the online version of the curriculum, and then we'll be ready to go. So follow us on Instagram, and you'll get updates and information about all of that and all about aerodynamics. But this is not all about aerodynamics. This is all about aerodynamics presents At The Track Live. Now, what is At The Track Live? At The Track Live is a program that I created because I need to catalog and organize the Hot Wheels cars I have before I can bring them in for the students to use. Each car has to be assigned a number and entered into my own spreadsheet so that I can keep track of the cars and know which students are using which cars, so I can make sure that I bring those cars back and have them ready for the next group of students to use. And so, like most Hot Wheels collectors and enthusiasts, every time I go to a store, I go down the Hot Wheels aisle, take a look, see what's new, what they've got, and if something catches my eye, something that I would like, something that I think the students would like, then I pick it up. And as a result of doing that, I end up with more cars purchased and in storage than I have entered into the spreadsheet for the students to use. So I needed a way to get those cars out of storage and into the mix. So I came up with At The Track Live. So every week I go to storage, I pull out about 5 or 6 different Hot Wheels cars that have not been opened, crack those open, take a look at those, shoot a little video, shoot a picture, enter the information into the spreadsheet, take a look at all those cars, and then, since the track is already set up, we have a little mini tournament with those cars involved, and we see which of those cars is the day's champion. And the car that is that day's champion gets a shot at taking on our fastest in fleet car. And that is the car that is the winner from the previous week. And in this case, the car that is the winner from the previous week has been the car that's been the winner for the past 8 weeks and is our longest reigning fastest in fleet champion. And that car is this one right here. It is the BlitzSpeeder. And we're going to zoom on in, take a closer look, lock in that focus, and take a look at the BlitzSpeeder. The BlitzSpeeder is a car that was not originally scheduled to be a part of the All About Aerodynamics AtTheTrack.live program. What happened is I was doing some cleaning, and I came across a bunch of loose cars. And I started looking at them and wondering why those loose cars weren't in the mix with all the other cars. And there wasn't any physical reason why those cars shouldn't be included. So I decided to have a whole series of races where I just used the loose cars. And the BlitzSpeeder emerged as the fastest of that group. And then it took on our current, or our at the time, fastest in fleet champion, the Track Tune, and beat the Track Tune to become the fastest in fleet car. And so for the past 8 weeks, it has beaten every single car that it has faced. Early on, we had the Henry Stanislavski Challenge. That was a viewer who picked a car. Actually, he picked a bunch of cars. And the BlitzSpeeder beat every single one of those cars. So the BlitzSpeeder has been dominant. It has only lost one race. Our races are best 2 out of 3. And it has only lost one race. It lost the first race, then it came back and won the next 2. So then it beat that car and moved on. And since then, it has not even been kind of challenged even a little bit. That may change today. But one of the things about AtTheTrack.live is that you can participate. If you go to AtTheTrack.live, you are going to have 3 options. You are going to have an option for the YouTube stream link, the Twitch stream link, which you don't need because you're already here. And then the third option you are going to have is going to be one that says choose a car. If you select that option, you will be taken to this page. And on this page, you will see all of the cars in the All About Aerodynamics AtTheTrack.live fleet listed and cataloged and numbered. So when I say I'm taking the pictures and I'm cataloging the cars, this is what I mean. And it has worked out because I know exactly how many cars I have. I know exactly which cars they are. And it took a lot of work to put together, but once it's put together, it is great. It's a great thing to have because you have the opportunity to go in, find a car that you think would be faster than one of the cars that I crack open today. And if you select that car, all you have to do is pick that car, take the number, drop it into the chat, and I will pull that car, and then we will race it, and it will be entered into the tournament, and we will see if your car can beat the cars that I introduce, and then ultimately challenge the BlitzSpeeder for the fastest in fleet title. Now, we have had viewers in the past, at least one viewer, who has picked a car that beat the cars that I introduced and challenged the BlitzSpeeder. It didn't beat the BlitzSpeeder, but it got closer than any other viewer picks, but you may be able to change that. So all you have to do is go through, scroll through, find the car that you think would be fastest, and if you do, you can click on it, So let's say you think this 64 Buick Riviera is the car. So you click on that, you take a look, you say, yeah, I think that car is, that's the one that I want to race. All you have to do is take the number, in this case 239, you drop that in the chat, and then I will go and pull that car. Once I've pulled that car, we will see if, in fact, you are able to pick a car that is the fastest. And right now, we have, let's see, there are currently 714 different cars to choose from. And after today, we will have 719, maybe 720. Oh, I see this tank. I see this Tanknator because I bought another one, not remembering whether or not I had one, and because at some point I want to challenge that Tanknator and some of our other tank-related Hot Wheels cars. It's going to challenge this car, the Zuru Metal Machines. It's some other brand of die-cast cars that's trying to compete with Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars, but that's just something for a later date. But when you go through to look at these cars, you can see just right here, we have cars from many eras. Just looking at this screen, you have this short order car, which has to be from the 70s, maybe 60s, early 70s, late 60s, probably 70s. But you can see it is metal on metal, and it is going to be heavy. And there's no way that this car on our track is going to do anything except possibly not cross the finish line, because it's just the heavier cars just don't tend to do well. But if that's what you want to pick, if that's what you want to see race, all you have to do is enter that number in. We have this Roger Dodger, this gold version. This is one that I had when I was a kid, and I actually have two of these. I have one that is completely beat up, damaged, and destroyed, but it can still roll. The axles are straight. It's just the paint and really the paint is just peeled off, scratched off, scraped off, because I played with these cars. But I guess because I had the second one, this one I kept in pretty good condition. There's a few scratches and scuffs there, but by and large, considering this car is probably 40 years old at least, looks pretty good. So if that's the car you want to pick, you just pull the number, drop it in. If you want to go completely in a different direction with a character car or something, there's things like this, like the Duck and Roll. If you want this rubber ducky car and you think for some reason this is going to be the fastest car of the day, you can pick that. It is number 406, so you would drop that in the chat. Or if you want to go a more traditional route, you could just pick this Porsche 918 Spyder, something like this. No, wouldn't be a bad choice. This is one of those cars that I would categorize as just a safe choice. You're not really going out on a limb because it's a smaller car. It's got a good kind of aerodynamic profile, so you're not really risking anything. So it would probably perform well. I don't know that it would necessarily beat our fastest cars, but it should give a good accounting of itself. We've got a Tesla Model 3, just a basic car. So you can go any route. You can go fantasy car. You can go cars based off of actual cars. You can go with character cars. There are so many different. There are trucks. You can go. You have this one. You have the roller toaster. If you want a truck with 2 slices of bread popping out of the top and you think that would be the fastest car to pick, you're welcome to do that. Just take the number, drop it in the chat, and I will pull the car. If you are into dinosaurs and you want this Velociracer, you can pick that one. And again, some of the fantasy cars, that's another thing, is that the cars that have done particularly well in our races have usually been fantasy cars. Cars that are just designed based on whatever the artist comes up with. And so the BlitzSpeeder, the Track Tune, and our the Draftnator and some others were all fantasy cars that did well on the track. I'm trying to remember the last car based on an actual car that did well and actually won. As far back as I can remember, we had the Solar Reflex. That was one of our fastest in fleet cars, and that was also a fantasy car. So if I think back, there may not have been any cars based on actual cars that have become our fastest in fleet champion. Now, when the students have raced the cars, that's a different story, because I've absolutely seen cars based on actual cars do well. Students tend to gravitate towards Lamborghinis. There's always going to be a Lamborghini selected, and some of those have done well. And I believe there was a Corvette that did very well also. But those cars haven't been picked with AtTheTrack.live, so you could pick one. And if you pick that, then I will pull it and we will race it. But maybe you are determined to find the car based on an actual car that can compete. So maybe you say, you know what, this 82 Toyota Supra, this is the car. And you would be wrong, because this car has actually, all the cars from about the number 400, I think we started AtTheTrack.live around 450. So yeah, for all the cars from 451 through 714, all of these cars have raced at some point on AtTheTrack.live, which means that they have all been beaten at some point, and we are now at the BlitzSpeeder. So if you are going to pick a car that is going to be faster than the BlitzSpeeder, it's probably not going to be in the group from 450 to 714. It's going to be in the group from number 1 to number 449, because those are the cars that have not raced necessarily against these newer cars. So for example, if you were to pick car number 609, this Mustang NHRA funny car, even if it was fast, it's clearly, if it was the fastest, it would be our fastest in fleet champion. But somewhere along the line, it was beaten. I remember this one, this Cadillac Project GTP hypercar. I really liked this car. Really liked it a lot and really wanted it to be fast. It wasn't. It lost out. We've had this flippin' fast. We have this in here twice. So it's in here on the black side, and then the next one over is you flip it over and it's on the orange side. I believe we raced it both ways, and it still did not beat whichever car was fastest at the time. So there was that. We had the ice shredder with these really tiny tires. I was curious to see how that would perform. It did okay, but it was too narrow. It bounced around the track a lot and didn't get the job done. And then of course 629 we have right here. We have the Draftnator, and this is the car of the day. If you've been watching our promos on Instagram for the last week, you will have seen the Draftnator. And the Draftnator's coming back because one of our viewers, Roughshod, over the last month or so, he's been picking different cars to try and beat the BlitzSpeeder. And that hasn't happened. So he decided that the Draftnator was our champion for 6 weeks, and it was just so dominant that it didn't look like it would ever be beaten. And I was starting to think that. I was starting to buy into the hype that the Draftnator couldn't be beaten. Well, then all of a sudden, we had the track tune with the faster than ever wheels come in. It beat the Draftnator 2 out of 3 and became our fastest in fleet car. So I'm thinking, if this track tune beat the Draftnator and the Draftnator was so dominant, then the track tune's gonna be our champion for a long time. Turns out I was wrong, because the BlitzSpeeder came along, blew out the track tune, and has not looked back. So the BlitzSpeeder eclipsed and beat the Draftnator's record of 6 weeks as champion, and the BlitzSpeeder has been the champion for 8 weeks. And eventually Roughshod decided that, you know what, I'm going to pick the Draftnator. I've picked these other cars to challenge the BlitzSpeeder. It hasn't worked out. I'm going to go back and pick the Draftnator and see if the Draftnator, maybe something was just off that day, and see if the Draftnator can beat the BlitzSpeeder. If the BlitzSpeeder can beat the Draftnator, then I don't know where we go from here, because the BlitzSpeeder may be on top for a long time. But so the Draftnator is the car that Roughshod picked, so that has been pulled. The Draftnator will be competing today, but it won't necessarily be going up against the BlitzSpeeder. The Draftnator is going to have to beat all of the other cars that I pull today. So if the Draftnator can beat all of those cars, then it will face the BlitzSpeeder. And based on its performance in the past, I'm just presuming that the Draftnator is going to make it to the finals, beat those other cars, and we are going to have the ultimate showdown between the Draftnator and the BlitzSpeeder. And the Draftnator may be the first car to become a 2-time champion. We are going to find out, but there is some work that the Draftnator is going to have to do before it gets to that point. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the cars that are going to be introduced today. And these cars I picked up. I was at there was a car show here in California in San Jose, and if you go to our I think you can watch it either place, on Instagram or on our YouTube channel. There is a little highlight video that I put together of all of the different lowriders that were at this event. It was the San Jose Lowrider Day, and just a few blocks of downtown were blocked off, and it was just packed with lowriders, all different styles of cars, and some pretty incredible looking vehicles. And you can see the pictures and the highlights on both the Instagram account, which AA Aerodynamics, or on our YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, after you're done, you just click on it's either promos or shorts, something like that. You'll see it. It's the most recent video uploaded. And also there were vendors, and one of the vendors was selling Hot Wheels cars. So of course I had to go take a look, and I'm looking at all the cars, and most of them I had or just wasn't interested in. And but one in particular caught my eye. I was like, oh, okay, this might be the car that I need to get. And it was this one. It is the Buick Grand National. And the reason why I picked this up is because it has the faster than ever wheels. And we've discussed this, that the faster than ever wheels have the nickel plated axle, which allows the wheel to spin a little more freely, less friction, and so the car should be faster. Now, the track tune car that beat the Draftnator did have faster than ever wheels. And in the week since, we've had the BlitzSpeeder go up against some cars with faster than ever wheels, best for track cars. There was one that it was like gold medal speed, this gold medal speed Ferrari. All these different designations. I don't know necessarily what all of those mean, if there's any mechanical difference with any of those other cars, but we do know that with the faster than ever wheels, there is an actual difference with the axle and the wheels. So, I picked up this Buick Grand National. It looks like it might be a little heavy, but with the faster than ever wheels, I had to get it, so I overpaid for it. I think he charged me like $10 for it, which is, excuse me, a little much, but you know, hey, gotta try and bring in competitors and competitive cars from wherever I can find them. So this is going to be the first entrant, actually the second, because the first, of course, is the Draftnator, which we'll take a look at in a minute. But let me crack open this Buick Grand National, and there's a little information. Some of the cars have information on the back. It says born in 1982, birthplace Detroit, Michigan, designer General Motors, named for the NASCAR racing series. This car combined Motown muscle power with a turbocharged engine. The removable hood shows off our custom engine. So apparently the hood comes off. I don't know. We'll have to take a look and see if that's a plus or a minus, and whether or not you know, I'll end up keeping that hood on when it races or taking it off. So let's crack this one open. Okay. Buick Grand National. And I'm looking at the hood. Does it... It looks like it comes off, but I don't see a hinge, so maybe it doesn't. That's weird. Let's see. I don't know. All right, let's see. I'm sitting here looking at it myself when I should be sharing it with everyone who is watching. So let me go ahead and switch over to this view. And let's hope. I've had an issue with this this camera overheating the last couple of weeks. Not sure why, but hopefully it's been resolved, and go ahead and get this video of the Buick Grand National, and I will enter that information into the spreadsheet. So this is going to be car number 715, the Buick Grand National, and I will put FTE, faster than ever wheels, and I did not check the thing. But see right there on the hood, at the back end of the hood, it looks like it lifts up or comes off, but there's no hinge in the front. So I'm not sure if it actually comes off or not. It doesn't seem to have any rails to slide on or slide off, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on with it, but this is the car right here, the Buick Grand National. And I think depending on the weight of the car, which I will check. Oh, see, this thing's already, it's overheated again. I'm gonna have to get this checked out. So let's see, what can we do? I will switch to a different view. Let's go back. let's go back here. So with this car right here, the hood, I can't tell. Oh, there we go. It was just stuck a little bit. Okay, so it does come up. It doesn't come off. It just lifts up like that. Okay, great. And it snaps into position, which is exactly what I wanted, because I don't want the hood flapping around while we're trying to race it. Let's see what this car weighs. This car weighs in at 35.9 grams. So compare that to the BlitzSpeeder. The BlitzSpeeder is 32.4 grams. And then we will compare that to the Draftnator, which is 32.4 grams. So the Draftnator and the BlitzSpeeder are about the same weight. And then we have the Buick Grand National, which, let me check the year on that one. Is there a year listed? There is not. So I will have to look that one up later. And again, with the faster than ever wheels, you just get less friction, so you get a longer spin. Let's see if this phone has calmed down, cooled off. I have another phone that I can use that I had started charging up, but I don't know that it is going to. Let's switch over here to this view. Let's go ahead and get the still picture before this thing heats up again. And zoom in. I think what I might have to do is I might just have to wait and shoot the video of the car later and just stick with the still. Oh wait, that wasn't a good picture. It was off center. That would be better right there. Okay. All right. So we've got our Buick Grand National with the faster than ever wheels. We've got the Draftnator. We have got the BlitzSpeeder all ready to go. Let's see, what other car? Another car that I picked up that I hadn't seen before, which I haven't seen it before, but it seems like one of those cars that I bought it because I hadn't seen it before, but pretty soon it just seems like one of the ones that you'll start to see everywhere, and different colors and variations. But it is this one, the Sushi Tuner from the Fast Foodie series. So in this series, there's the donut car, the donut racer. There's the hot dog, the wiener mobile type. I forget what it's called, like the wiener racer or something like that. The hot dog car. There is one that has it's like a Jello mold. There is another one that I picked up, but I haven't opened yet. That is I think it's called the Birthday Basher. It's a slice of birthday cake that they turned into a Hot Wheels car. Well, this is a sushi roll that has been turned into a Hot Wheels car, and you can take a look and see the rice. And I guess I'm not a sushi connoisseur, so I can't describe all of the elements that make up the sushi roll thing, but this is the Sushi Tuner based on sushi. You can see it right here. And so, oh, the Car de Asada, which is this one that I have right here. Just happens to be sitting here. The one that is basically, and there's the driver's head is green, which is why it's not appearing. And there's also green. Let me just put it over here so you can see it. Presuming the camera hasn't overheated at this point. This one, the Car de Asada, and you can see all of the different food elements. We've got some tortilla chips in the back. They've got a little guacamole dip right here in the front. You got the taco, you've got the beans, everything. All right there, got a couple of limes on the side. So another food-related and themed car. But now we have the Sushi Tuner. So I am going to crack open the Sushi Tuner, and we are going to take a closer look. All right, Sushi Tuner. Let me see the year on this. Is not listed. What is up with these cars not listing the year? No problem. I will look it up. Will not be an ongoing problem. So let's take a look at this one. The Sushi Tuner. We will just go, for the time being, we will just go with the still pictures until I can get to the bottom of this overheating situation. And we have the Sushi Tuner here. Got the focus locked in. And boom. Now I won't shoot the video with the camera, but we will take a look at this, because one thing is with the open wheels. I'm always leery about open wheeled cars, because when they crash, the axles get bent. But this one seems to have a little bit of protection in the front, so if it crashes, hopefully the wheels are protected and the axle does not get bent. But it's got just a unique kind of shape. I don't know that this part that's open in the front, how the air is going to flow once if it gets inside this area, I don't know, even though it could theoretically flow out of the back. It's got a nice shape to it. The back is relatively flat, which is always important, because that kind of determines the push that the car is going to get. Now, this fin in the back is going to make the car taller, which might mean that I have to put on the taller acrylic cover that helps keep the cars on the track. And I'm not sure how that will affect this car, but we are definitely going to find out. And I'm actually wondering, I wonder if this is a hinge and this opens forward. I'll have to check that out, or it might even come off. But this part is not open. It's just a solid little black clip that may just be in place to hold this red plastic piece on. So we'll have to actually see how that plays out once this car gets out on the track, and I will check and see what the weight is. So first of all, the red piece does not come off. It is not removable. So that is staying in place. This car weighs in at 31.4 grams. So it's the lightest of the cars that we have racing today. And it's got a unique shape. So you never know, especially with these fantasy cars, you're never really completely sure what you're going to get. What kind of performance, what kind of outcome. Let me put this into the spreadsheet. This is 716. This is the Sushi Tuner, and there was no year listed on that one as well. So we have now 3 cars ready to go. We have the Draftnator, the Buick Grand National with the faster than ever wheels, and we have the Sushi Tuner. So we've got pretty good assortment here. My money is still on the Draftnator until it gets beaten, because I'm really still shocked that the Track Tune was able to beat it in the first place, but that's why we have to race the cars, because you just never know what the outcome is going to be until you take the cars to the track. Now, one of the other cars I did pick up was this Ford GT40, and I've mentioned this in the past. I have a lot of these, and I like the design of the car, and the reason I keep picking them up is because they keep coming out with different variations. So this one has the Magic 8 Ball design, and I was thinking it was going to be like that Roger Dodger car from a few years ago that was the Magic 8 Ball car, and on the bottom it had the little window like on the Magic 8 Ball, and it had a little message there, and there were different cars that had different messages on there. So I keep picking these up. I don't like having duplicates in the fleet, and so I already have at least 1 or 2 Ford GT40s in the fleet, so I'm not going to put this one in there. This is just another one that I picked up that's going to be just set aside as part of my personal Ford GT40 collection. So that one will not race today. But another one that I picked up was in a Walgreens and stumbled across this one, this 20 Toyota GR Supra. And I'm going to crack this open and take a closer look at this one and see what it's all about. Okay. All right, let's get this one up here and take a closer look. Presuming this camera isn't overheated. Oh, hey, Rough Shot, what's up? The man of the hour, because it was, as I was mentioning earlier, it was your pick of the Draftnator that has sort of set this whole, everything's been building up for the last week or so, to what I presume is going to be the matchup between the Draftnator and the BlitzSpeeder, presuming the Draftnator can beat these other cars. Now, this one, let me go ahead and get the still picture. This is one of those ones, like I mentioned earlier, it's one of those ones that's a safe bet. It's like the aerodynamic profile is good. The width is good. I haven't checked the weight, but it just seems like a solid car to pick. If a student picked this car, I couldn't really criticize the choice. I wouldn't criticize their choice anyway, because they usually, as long as they have a reason and a rationale for why they picked the car. But this is a solid car, and I think that if it weren't going up against the Draftnator, if it wasn't going up against the Buick Grand National with the faster than ever wheels, if it wasn't going up against the unknown Sushi Tuner, I think that this would be, in a standard traditional kind of set of races, this car would probably do very well. But today is not an ordinary race day. Today we're bringing back one of the AtTheTrack.live. I mean, this has been going on for about a year, more or less, and we're bringing back like one of the great champions of AtTheTrack.live. I mean, other than the BlitzSpeeder, the Draftnator has been, it was the car. It couldn't be beaten until it was beaten. So this Supra is going to have its work cut out for it. I am going to risk this camera overheating, but I am going to try and shoot this video, and because ultimately I will have to shoot the video anyway, And so we'll see if we can get this video before this car overheats. But let's see. This is the 20 Toyota GR Supra, and it's in this kind of bluish green color. I think on the video it might look a little more blue, but in person it's kind of a bluish green with these kind of orangish copper accents on the wheels. And it was part of this series. I don't know if this is some Walgreens exclusive, but they have 5 other cars that are part of this group, and I saw a couple, but wasn't really feeling these. But this one I definitely liked and picked up. And we've got about another quarter turn before, to see if the camera can withstand this. And it's one of the tricks. I basically just take my old cell phones, or just buy used iPhones, and really the cameras in them are pretty good. So I use them as webcams. So I have a bunch set up on the track. That's what shoots the track. This camera up, see, and it overheated again. So I don't know if maybe it's the video. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna have to take this into the Apple store and see what the issue is. I've turned the screen brightness down, everything. But either way, we've got that in. So this is the Supra. Let's see how much the Supra weighs. This one is coming in at 28.1 grams. So these cars, this is even lighter than the Sushi Tuner, because the Sushi Tuner was 31.5 grams. So maybe there's a chance that I have underestimated this Supra, because I'm looking at all the other cars and all their other features, but it's coming in pretty light. And you don't want to get a car that's too light, but at the same time, there is a point at which you kind of hit a sweet spot. Let's see, this one is 2020, so I'll drop that in there. Finally, a car that has the manufacturing year printed on the bottom. All right, so let's see. So we have the Draftnator, we have the Buick Grand National, we have the Sushi Tuner, and we have the Toyota Supra. So we've got 4 cars. The 5th car, this is one that I picked up. It just caught my eye for some reason, and I think with most people who pick up Hot Wheels, that's the whole point of it. It's just like, does it catch your eye? I remember watching that show on Peacock where they had the different designers come in, or different people work with different car teams, and they designed a Hot Wheels car in real life. They designed a real life car that was eventually going to be made into a Hot Wheels car if they won the competition. And so the judges would come in, and when the judges were looking at their real life car, they were asking questions, and one of the questions is, would this catch your eye if it was in a package on the shelf? And that's important, because this next car, there's no aerodynamic reason why I should have picked it, and I can't even really hold it up because it's lime green, and maybe that's what caught my eye, because there's a green screen behind me. So when I hold it up, there's nothing is going to be there. It's empty, so it's a mystery. But it is the Ford Escort RS, or is that a 5? Nope, that's an S. RS2000, the Ford Escort RS2000. And I just need to double check and make sure that I don't already have one, because I don't want to add duplicates in. Yeah, see, I thought about something running in the background. I I restarted it, shut everything off except the camera app, but I did recently run the update for the operating system, and so maybe something's happening in the background, like you said, that I'm unaware of. But this has been going on for the past few weeks, and I'm gonna check it out. At first I thought, all right, maybe because I had the case on it and it's under these lights, but that I took the case off, still doing it. So I'm gonna try some things after, and then if nothing else, there's an Apple store not too far from here, and they're usually pretty good, even if your phone's out of warranty, to just check it out and let you know what's going on. Let me see this Ford Escort, Ford. There are all kinds of Fords in here. Fusions. There's a GT40, a GT40 that's red, a GT90, a Mustang funny car Ford. Okay, great. So there is no Ford Escort RS2000, but there is now. So let me go ahead and crack this open. And all right, let's see here. All right, we got this Ford Escort that I don't expect to be fast at all. It's 34.8 grams. It is going to be up against some just monsters of the track today, and we will see how it performs. But let's see. All right, turning this phone back on, taking my chances. We will just start off with the still picture. And there it is. There is the lime green Ford Escort. And checking that out right there. Switch this to square. Got it. And yeah, there's nothing really other than it was lime green, and I just kind of like the look of it. And that's usually for Hot Wheels enthusiasts pretty much all it takes. Just, does the car catch your eye? Is there something about it that you like? Whatever car you pick up, there's a reason why. It might be branding. When I've gone to this Hot Wheels swap meet they have out here in Pasadena twice a month, there are always cars that have, I especially see cars with the candy branding, and as in fact there is a it's a Jaguar. It's in the fleet, and it's got the gold Hot Ones wheels, and it has branding for some candy bar, maybe $100 grand bar. That car is fast. Students have picked that, and that is definitely a fast car. Let me just get this one entered in here. We have the Ford, let's see, 718, the Ford Escort RS2000, and I think, check the year on this one. The year is 2022, and there we go. So now we have the Draftnator, we have the Grand National with the faster than ever wheels, we have the Sushi Tuner, we have the Toyota Supra, and we have this Ford. So we've got one more car left to introduce. And as I said last week, didn't have an episode because of the holiday weekend, and I went up to San Jose to the Lowrider. It was Lowrider Day in San Jose, and so they had blocks of downtown just blocked off, and lowriders were everywhere, and just incredible pieces of art and vendors and performers, and it was a whole thing. And like I said, on the Instagram account and on the YouTube page, there's a highlight video that I put together of some of the cars that were there. And so I figured that because of Lowrider Day, in honor of that, that the last car that gets introduced today should be a lowrider. And so I had picked up 2 of these, but again, I need to double check just to make sure I don't already have this one in here. L-A-Y. I do not. Now, this car, I don't expect great things from it, but you never know. That's why you got to take them to the track and race. But this one, another green car, so when I hold it up, it will look like nothing's there. Boom, right there. But this is the Layin Lowrider, and I am going to crack this open, and we will take a look at this. It was going to be between that or this 60, again, it's green, this 64 Lincoln Continental convertible, which is actually a treasure hunt car, I believe. Not a Supra or anything like that, just the basic treasure hunt car. But I'm gonna leave that, set that aside, and going with this Layin Lowrider. So let me crack this open, get it off the green screen so you can actually see what it looks like. Hey, Short Bus, what's up? All right, so here we go. The Layin Lowrider. Now, I'm putting this in there. It made the cut because it has, it's a lowrider, and in honor of San Jose's Lowrider Day, this car is now part of the All About Aerodynamics AtTheTrack.live fleet. But just like the other cars, it's got some serious competition headed its way this week. So I'm not expecting too much from it, but at the same time, you never know. But I will show you. So with this one on the bottom, this is, let me move it this way a little bit. Oh. The wheels in the back, like, I'm never a fan, especially on our track, of cars that have the wheels tucked under the body like that. But the wheels in the front are even with the body, so that's okay. The car gets a little more narrow at the back, and that's not necessarily a great thing, because you don't want narrow cars, because narrow cars on our track, they tend to bounce around a lot. And just pull out and you can see, take a look, get that 360 degree view, and you can see the back end of the car, because a flat back end on the car is pretty important, and because there is a launching block, and the cars press up against that launching block, and if they get, the only way they're going to get a good push, or the cars that get the best push, are cars that have a lot of surface area pressed up against that block. And this one should be fine on the back end. So let me get that entered into the spreadsheet. The Layin Lowrider, and this is I think the year was 2022, but I'll have to check. Yeah, this paint is crazy. It's a good looking car. I don't know how it'll do on the track, especially with that stance. Like, it's got the lowrider stance, lifted in the front, dropped in the back. We'll have to see how this plays out on the track. But I mentioned the surface area. I posted on YouTube. And I've mentioned it in the past, there's this device that it's called the Cook's timer, although they changed the name to now it's just called the Cook's Race Gate. and it's basically a speedometer for Hot Wheels cars. It also works to judge races and be a finish line and some other things. So I built a special track just to test the speed of these cars. And if you're on the YouTube channel in the shorts section, I just posted it the other day, you can see a test run. So there's a radar gun, and then there's this Cook's timer that both measure the speed of the cars. But anyway, the more important thing is that the angle that I shot the video from, you can actually see the launcher up close, and you can see these launching blocks that I'm always talking about, and how the cars how they get pushed out of the launching block. It's a different view than you're going to get when we race the cars, and it might help people understand what I'm always talking about when I talk about why cars need to have a flat back end to get a really good push out of the gate. In terms of lowrider, so this one is the Layin Lowrider is going to be in the fleet. It is weighing in at 32.9 grams, but sitting right here beside me, I have two cars. Now this one, speaking of lowriders, this is a 64 Riviera, and this one version of this is already in the fleet. And I think at the beginning when I was looking through the cars, I mentioned this one, and this is one of my favorites in terms of the paint and the design and all of that. And this is the first car where I saw that they had the skeletons on the wheels, and this was years ago when I picked this up. And yeah, it was just a whole Dia de los Muertos theme, and I really liked this one. And then I saw that they had a Kroger's special edition of this, but here in California we have Ralph's and Food for Less, which are associated with Kroger, but we don't necessarily get if there's a Kroger special car, we don't necessarily get those. And so I told my mom, and she went out to the store, and she went out and actually did some Hot Wheels hunting and came across and found the alternate version, which is this one here, this black and white version, which I also like. These are probably two of my favorite Hot Wheels cars. And so this black and white one is not in the fleet to race, but the green one, I do have two of those. So one of them is in the fleet. It's not fast, but it looks good. So it might lose the race, but it's going to look good losing the race. Okay. So now we have gotten all of our cars for today. We've got them picked. We've got them lined up. We've got them ready to go. We are now just needing to, let me see, the Lowrider 2021. Get that in the spreadsheet. We are just about ready to hit the track with these cars and find out which car is going to take the title. And again, I completely expect the Draftnator to beat all these cars and for us to get the showdown that I think everybody wants to see, which is the BlitzSpeeder against the Draftnator. The 6-week champion against the 8-week champion. That's what I want to see, but the Draftnator has to earn that. And to earn that, it's going to have to beat this Buick Grand National with the faster than ever wheels. The one that I picked up, overpaid for. I don't know how this car is going to perform. We've got this Sushi Tuner that's just got a bizarre shape, and I have no idea, and it's light. I don't know how that's going to perform. We've got this Supra, which might be a sleeper. It's very light. I think it's probably the lightest car we've got going today. And then we've got the Lowrider, and we've got the Escort. I'm not expecting too much from those, but we are going to find out. We are going to have these races. we are going to see if we end up with the matchup we're expecting, or if we get something totally unexpected. But when we go to the track, just to review, this is the view that you will be seeing. It is our 3-camera view of the track. On the far left side is the start line camera. The cars will start at the very top of the screen on the left. I will give a countdown, 3, 2, 1, race. Hit the switch, the cars will come firing out of the launcher toward the bottom of the screen. After they pass out of the bottom of the screen on the left, you can pick them up at the top of the screen in the middle. They will come from top to bottom. After they pass out of the bottom of the middle section of our track, you can pick them up on the finish line camera on the far right side. They will come from top to bottom. They will cross the finish line, and the winning car will be indicated with a solid red light. The losing car will be indicated with a flashing red light. So winning car, solid red light. Flashing red light indicates the losing car. The races are best 2 out of 3. So the cars will race, then they'll switch lanes, they'll race again, and the first car to take 2 races will move on. If a car crashes and comes off the track, then we throw out the results of that race, reset the cars, start the race again. If the car crashes twice consecutively, it is eliminated, because typically if a car crashes twice consecutively, there's some problem that's not going to be resolved by just trying again. So 2 consecutive crashes, you're eliminated. And beyond that, it seems like it is just about time to go and race these cars and find out if we are going to have the matchup that I want to see. Frankly, that's the reason why Roughshod picked the Draftnator, was specifically to beat the BlitzSpeeder. And if I had to just pick a car to try and beat the BlitzSpeeder, it would be, in fact, the Draftnator. So we are going to find out if, in fact, we are going to have a new fastest in fleet champion, or if the BlitzSpeeder is going to maintain its dominance. So I am going to gather up these cars, and we are going to head over to the track, and I will see you in 30 seconds. Okay, let me just double check the audio. Always want to make sure things working there. 1, 2, yep. We've got the audio. Okay, so we are ready to get these races underway and see which car is going to come out on top. Now, when you're looking at the camera view on the finish line camera, when you can kind of see the tripod for the middle set, you can see at the top of the finish line camera on the right, you can see the tripod for the middle section of the track camera, and it kind of looks like the tripod is bending to the left and interfering with lane 1. That's just sort of optical illusion based on the angle of that camera. I've checked it and double checked it, and that tripod is not touching, it's not interfering with lane 1. It just looks that way. So no cars will be interfered with as they make their way down the track. So let me start off with, we're going to go with the Layin Lowrider against the Ford Escort, because I think those are the 2 cars that I have the least confidence in terms of their speed going in, but I could always be wrong. And I like it sometimes when I am wrong, when I get surprised and find a car that I didn't expect to be fast. So we're going to put the Ford Escort. That's going to be in lane number 1. It's ready to rock. And we've got the Layin Lowrider in lane number 2. And I'm thinking it's kind of looking like the Lowrider has that gimmick in it where when the front wheels spin, they rock the engine back and forth, which is not... I don't think any gimmick cars need to be are going to take the title, but we'll see. So we've got the Ford Escort in lane 1. We've got the Layin Lowrider in lane 2. Race 1, here we go. Three, two, one, race. The Ford Escort took that, and the Lowrider indeed has the gimmick that rocks the motor, and it made this clicking sound all the way down, and you can see right there, like, yeah, it just rattles the motor back and forth. It's kind of like the, what is it called? The Hot Wheeler. It's the one that, it looks like a wolf, and when the car rolls, the mouth on the wolf kind of opens and closes, and it's like a chattering kind of thing. So, yeah, I'm looking at it, and this car, the Layin Lowrider, has the gimmick. So, like a number of lowriders, this may be more about the looks of the car than the actual performance of the car. So we will see, but the Ford is now up 1 race to none. The cars have switched lanes. We've got the Lowrider in lane 1, Ford Escort in lane 2. Race number 2, here we go. Three, two, one, race. Okay, that Ford, it's hard to say that the Ford is fast, because that might be going a little too far. But that Ford, it looked pretty quick, but again, it was racing a very slow car, so I can't put too much stock into that win, but it does move ahead nevertheless. All right, let's go next with we'll go with the Draftnator against the Supra. So we've got the Draftnator coming back to the track after being defeated by the Track Tune that was ultimately defeated by the BlitzSpeeder. We will see if the Draftnator still has that old magic. The Draftnator is lining up in lane number 1. The Supra, which is the lightest car of the day, is lining up in lane 2. Can the light Supra take out the Draftnator before the Draftnator even gets to the final round? Okay, here we go. So Draftnator lane 1, Supra lane 2. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Uh-oh. The Draftnator is flexing, showing that speed, and it's not that the Supra was slow, because it wasn't, but the Draftnator is on that, it's in that that rare BlitzSpeeder category where it's just noticeably fast. Like when you're watching it, it's just so much faster than the other cars that it's almost shocking. But that's just one race. This is best 2 out of 3. Not going to get ahead of ourselves just because the Draftnator looked fast. but the Draftnator is now lined up in lane 2. The light Supra is lined up in lane number 1. And here we go, race number 2, Draftnator lane 2, Supra lane 1. Three, two, one, race. The Draftnator once again destroying the Supra, and for what it's worth, the Draftnator hits the barrier at the end of the track, which is about 20, just over 20 feet away, hits the barrier at the end of the track, bounces and rolls all the way back to the start line, which indicates just a number of things. It shows just how fast this car is traveling. The Supra bounced back about halfway, and it is now eliminated. So the Draftnator moves on as expected. Next up is going to be an interesting matchup. We've got the Sushi Tuner, which first of all I need to see if it even fits. Nope. So this is going to be another situation where I have to change the acrylic cover to the taller cover because the Sushi Tuner has that wing at the back, and it is sticking up in a way that is going to prevent me from using the standard cover. So the Sushi Tuner is going to be in lane number 2, and the Buick Grand National with faster than ever wheels that I overpaid for at San Jose Lowrider Day is going to be in lane number 1. I'm going to use this taller acrylic cover, and that may result in the Buick Grand National flying off the track, in which case I'll make a little modification to keep it on, but we'll see how it does right now without that that trick. So here we go. So Buick Grand National with the faster than ever wheels is in lane number 1, and we have the Sushi Tuner in lane number 2. Here we go, race 1. Three, two, one, race. Wow. So the Sushi Tuner flies off the track, crosses into the other lane, and impedes the progress of the Buick Grand National. So that race gets thrown out. We will line the cars up again, but I'm not certain that the Sushi Tuner is going to be able to stay on the track. It's just got a strange shape, and I think that's one of the risks with these fantasy cars is you never know how they're going to perform. What the strange shapes, how does that affect their performance? And you just don't know till you get on the track. And something happened with the Sushi Tuner. It got a little wobbly and ultimately flew off the track. The Grand National, I couldn't really tell the speed because the Sushi Tuner flew up and came across the lanes and ran into it. So we will see what happens, but here we go again. This is the reset of race number 1 between the Sushi Tuner in lane 2 and the Buick Grand National in lane 1. And if the Sushi Tuner crashes again, it's disqualified. It's out. It's done. So here we go. Three, two, one, race. That was a good solid race. The Buick Grand National with the faster than ever wheels took it. I'm glad that the Sushi Tuner was able to stay on the track. and the race was relatively close. So the Sushi Tuner is not a bad car, and we will see when we switch lanes if the Sushi Tuner can pick up this win and force a third and final race. Let's get these cars lined up again right here, and we'll put the Sushi Tuner in lane 1, and we will get Buick Grand National in lane number 2 and get it all set up. Race number 2, Buick Grand National's up. It's in lane 2. Sushi Tuner's in lane 1. It needs to pick up this victory. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Oh. And this time it's the Buick Grand National that crashes. So we will see. We will see if we can get a solid launch. And so one of the things with the Buick is that because I have to put on this taller acrylic cover to make an accommodation for the Sushi Tuner, it does put the Buick at a bit of a disadvantage because it doesn't have the same kind of protection, if that's how we want to describe it. It doesn't have the same protection to keep it on the track that it would if it was just racing in a normal race. So I'm not certain that I'm going to be as strict on the 2 crash elimination rule with this Buick, because I'm not going to say it's racing at a disadvantage. It just doesn't have the advantage that it would usually have, so I guess that would be a disadvantage by definition. But we're going to line them up again. Buick Grand National lane 2, Sushi Tuner lane 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Whoa. I don't know what got into the Sushi Tuner or what didn't happen with the Buick, but the Sushi Tuner just destroyed the Buick in that race. Wow. It wasn't surprising so much that the Sushi Tuner won, but that margin of victory was definitely unexpected. So now we're going to the third and final race. We are going to find out which of these cars is going to move on with the Draftnator and the Ford Escort. We have the Sushi Tuner, which absolutely put on a shocking performance there in that last race. Lined up in lane 2. The Buick Grand National is in lane number 1 with the faster than ever wheels. We are going to find out which of these cars is moving on. So Sushi Tuner lane 2, Buick Grand National lane 1. Here we go. Race number 3. Three, two, one, race. Oh! In a close one, the Buick Grand National pulls it out, and I had to look from my vantage point. That race was close, and it was the solid red light that indicates the winning car. So I'll have to go back and look at the video later to see exactly how close that race was. But the Buick Grand National with the faster than ever wheels pulled it off. So I think that second race where the Sushi Tuner just destroyed the Buick must have gotten a bad launch, something. didn't go right at the beginning because the first race was close. The second race was a blowout, and then the third race was close, which suggests that the blowout was the outlier. But that means I don't need to use the taller acrylic cover. We're going with the standard cover. We are down to the Draftnator, the Buick Grand National, and the Ford Escort. We are going to go Draftnator versus Ford Escort and see which of these cars is going to make it. Yeah, rough shot. That was some round, and it's just building, because I think if we get the finals, I just want to see BlitzSpeeder versus Draftnator. But this Ford might have something to say about that, or maybe the Buick Grand National with the faster than ever wheels has something to say about that. Like, nah, we're not going to have a rematch. We're going to have a new match, and one of us is going to be in it, but we will see. All right, we've got the Ford Escort lined up in lane 2. We've got the Draftnator lined up in lane 1. Here we go, race number 1. Three, two, one, race. The Draftnator with ease, with absolute ease, just destroyed the Ford. But of course, that is only race 1 of 2, and we will change lanes and see if the Ford can come back. And I don't think that the Ford is necessarily slow. I think this is a case where the Draftnator is just really fast, and it gives the impression that the Ford is slower than it is. But we'll see. We will see right here and right now. Get the Draftnator lined up in lane 2, and the Ford is lined up in lane number 1. And we are ready to go. Race number 2. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Draftnator with ease, once again returning all the way to the start line. The Ford had a decent showing, but what could it do? It was going against the Draftnator. So now we have an interesting matchup, because we've got the Buick Grand National with the faster than ever wheels against the Draftnator for the finals. And what's interesting about this is we don't really know much about this Buick Grand National, because when it raced the Sushi Tuner, it was using the taller acrylic cover, which I think didn't really help it at all. So we're going to line the Draftnator up in lane number 1. Buick Grand National is going to be in lane number 2. And we're ready to go. This is the finals. Draftnator versus the Buick Grand National with the faster than ever wheels. Here we go. Race number 1. Three, two, one, race. Okay. The Draftnator took it, but that was a much closer race. Both cars basically returned all the way to the start line, which is more convenient for me. I like that a lot. And we will get the lanes switched and see. The Draftnator is 1 win away from going to the finals and matching up against the BlitzSpeeder and trying to take back the title. This is going to be very interesting. This is what it's come down to. Can the Buick Grand National win this race, force a third race, and hand the Draftnator its first loss since the Track Tune beat it? So here we go. Grand National in lane 1, Draftnator in lane 2. race number 2. Three, two, one, race. Draftnator, as I'm going to say as expected, is today's champion. It has beaten the Buick Grand National with the faster than ever wheels, and we are now looking at the matchup that I've been hyping up all week, that I could see coming when Roughshod made the pick to pick the Draftnator, and this is what it's coming down to. The Draftnator, who was champion, all about aerodynamics, fastest in-fleet champion, for 6 weeks before the track tune defeated it. Let's see, we'll get the Draftnator lined up here. The Draftnator is in lane 2. We've got the BlitzSpeeder in lane number 1. The BlitzSpeeder has been our fastest in-fleet champion for the past 8 weeks. 8 weeks as champion. The BlitzSpeeder's in lane 1. The Draftnator, champion for 6 weeks, is in lane 2. This is it. This is the matchup. This is Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. This is the matchup. This is it. Can the Draftnator finish up its story and come back and reclaim the title? We're going to see. This is race number 1. Draftnator lane 2, BlitzSpeeder lane 1. Here we go. Race number 1. Three, two, one, race. Oh, the BlitzSpeeder. BlitzSpeeder takes the first race. Now, it makes sense, and when you think about it, that the BlitzSpeeder beat the car that beat the Draftnator. But that was just one race. Can the Draftnator pull out a victory? I don't know. Maybe it can, maybe it can't. Maybe I should have been looking at the obvious, which is the Draftnator was beaten. The car that beat the Draftnator was beaten by the BlitzSpeeder. So maybe, the BlitzSpeeder is just faster. We're going to find out. This is head-to-head right now. This is it. The Draftnator has gotten a second chance. It is the first car to have ever gotten a second chance on the AtTheTrack track, and it is going to have to put together a win in order to force a third and final race. So here we go. We have the BlitzSpeeder, our current fastest in fleet champion, against the Draftnator. The Draftnator is down by a race. It needs to win this race. Draftnator's in lane 1. BlitzSpeeder's in lane 2. Here we go. This is it. Three, two, one, race. Lights out. Lights absolutely out. The BlitzSpeeder obliterated the Draftnator. It was not close. Maybe the Draftnator just got some kind of weird push, but from the jump, the BlitzSpeeder took off and wanted to leave no question in anybody's mind about who the fastest in-fleet car absolutely is. I'm going to gather these cars up, head back into the garage, and take another look at the results and our champ. So I will head back into the garage in just a minute, and I will meet you back there in a few seconds. The first race was close. The first race was very close. The second race was not close at all. And the BlitzSpeeder just confirmed that it is absolutely the fastest Hot Wheels car, I'm going to go ahead and say, on the planet. Because I've been searching high and low. I've been overpaying for cars. I've been checking on message boards. I've been getting people's recommendations. I've been going on eBay and buying cars. I've been looking high and low. I've searched the racks. I've tried faster than ever wheels, best for track, gold medal speed, whatever that means. Everything. I've tried bigger cars, smaller cars, plastic cars, lighter cars, heavier cars. And the BlitzSpeeder just continues to knock cars out and take them out week after week after week. This is the 9th week that the BlitzSpeeder is our champion. The BlitzSpeeder has only lost one race. And so now it might be a situation where we have to go back and find that car that it lost that one race to, even though it came back and beat that car 2 more times. So the other car beat the BlitzSpeeder in the first race, and then the BlitzSpeeder came back and won 2 consecutive races to continue as the champion. And that is the only race that the BlitzSpeeder has ever lost in the last 9 weeks. That first race with the Draftnator was close, and I couldn't tell exactly how close from my angle at the start line, but I'm going to go back and look at the video. But it was definitely close. But that second race was not close at all, and the BlitzSpeeder absolutely just obliterated the Draftnator. And Roughshod is correct, and the search continues. Like I said, in that group of cars, when you go to the page, so if you go to AtTheTrack.live, select choose a car, there are 714 cars listed. When we started at the Track Live, we started with car number 450. That was the first one that we introduced. So that means that all of those cars, if you pick a car between 450 and 714, all of those cars have raced, and none of those cars is faster than the BlitzSpeeder. So if you go back and decide, like, which car am I going to pick, unless you pick that one car that beat the BlitzSpeeder in that one race, you should be picking a car between number 1 and number 449, because but most of those cars have not raced against our newer cars, because we started at 450. So that's just my suggestion. My suggestion would be A, pick a fantasy car. You're not going to know the weight based on what you see on the website, but I would pick a fantasy car. I would pick a car with a flatter back end. I would pick a wider car. And other than that, it's really a gamble, because you just never know until the cars get on the track. But the BlitzSpeeder is absolutely the fastest Hot Wheels car I've seen in a long time. And even before All About Aerodynamics, when it was just my son and I picking cars and racing them, we saw some fast cars. But this is wild stuff. And I don't know. The Draftnator, I thought the Draftnator, I was shocked at that second race. I don't know what happened with the Draftnators. I'm not even going to say it got a bad launch, but whatever happened, the BlitzSpeeder was out ahead of it by 3 or 4 car lengths before it even got to the middle section of the track. That race was over before it got started. So Um, it's tough. Yeah, there's some car that is waiting to win. There has to be. I mean, statistically speaking, you would think there would have to be, if you had to pick 450 cars versus the Draftnator, there's got to be a car in there that's just waiting to be found to get to the track and race. And because of the way that the students pick cars, there's a lot of cars that have never raced on the track because they just don't get picked. So I would say that you go to AtTheTrack.live, go to choose a car, and just start scrolling through. Maybe it's this What's Up. Maybe the What's Up is the car. It looks kind of like a Scorpion situation happening here. I don't know, because I don't think this car has ever been picked. Maybe that's the car. There are a few others. This Ferrari this Ferrari's been picked, and I don't recall how it did, but I just remember that it's been picked. I don't know, maybe Nemo gets picked a lot by students, just because, especially the really younger kids, kindergarten, first grade, because they just see the character car and they go with that. But Nemo's got some surprises, but is it going to beat the BlitzSpeeder? Nah, I don't think so. This Thomas the Train, this locomotoring, faster than expected. Is it faster than the BlitzSpeeder? I don't think so. But there are so many different cars to choose from, and so many different styles, and cars that haven't had a chance to race on the track, cars that have. This rear ender, this is one that I had when I was a kid, and it's part of that Crack Up series. So this one, you can't see it here, but in the back, it's got a thing where if you bang another Hot Wheels car into it, the bumper flips around and shows damage. And so I have this one with the damage in the back. There's one with the damage on the side door, and then I have another one with where the damage appears in the front. And surprisingly enough, 40 years later, the car still, that little gimmick still works. So I don't know. But yeah, there are a ton of cars to pick and choose from, and again, my suggestion would be a fantasy car from between number 2 and number 449, and that's, then the rest of it takes care of itself out on the track. Maybe it's this F1 racer. I don't know. It's hard to say. But for right now, what we do know, the fact of the matter is that the BlitzSpeeder, right here, the BlitzSpeeder is the champion. It's the fastest in fleet car. It is 9 weeks as champion. I thought the Draftnator might come back, take the title away. That didn't happen. And so now we will see what happens next week, when we will be back here at 11 a.m. Pacific to look at 6 more cars, see if any of them can challenge the BlitzSpeeder, and see what's going to happen next. It's always exciting because you just never know. And I will go into storage, find more Hot Wheels cars. If you want to watch any of the older episodes, you can go to our YouTube channel. Under the live tab, all of the episodes are listed. I add in the chapter markers, and so you can just jump to whichever review you want to see, or just jump to the races, or you can watch the whole episode. Either way, it's up to you. That is there. I'm starting to, again, add more content on the Instagram page. There is the track that I set up, the separate track, just to check the speed and of the cars, and there's a whole thing I'm going to do with that, so you can see sample of what that looks like on YouTube, and I'll probably post a video on Instagram later today. And you can just get a different view. You get to see the launcher, how the cars launch out, and maybe that kind of will trigger something when you go to select your car to race. Like, oh, okay, now I see the kind of car that I need to pick to go into this launcher to get a good start, whatever. So there is that. So I would just say, yeah, follow us on Instagram, AA Aerodynamics, to just keep up with everything that is happening. And next week I will we'll be back to see which cars are introduced and which cars can possibly challenge the BlitzSpeeder. As Rothschild said in the Arnold voice, I'll be back. And yeah, come back. Welcome everybody to make their selections. Take a look. If you know a car that you want to pick, but you can't find it in that list because, again, there's no search engine, just send me a message on Instagram and I can look through the spreadsheet and let you know immediately if I have the car you're looking for. If I don't have the car you're looking for, there's a chance, if it's not too expensive, I'll just order it on eBay and or Amazon, somewhere, and bring it to the track. We'll see how it performs. So, for All About Aerodynamics and At The Track Live, I am Coach James, and until next time, I'll see you at the races.